Next topic for monophasic liquid dosage form includes the large scale manufacturing, which has unit operations, namely mixing, filtration, or clarification. As we all know, monophasic liquids are the homogeneous solutions. That means they are in one phase. So to form that one phase, we need the components to be mixed properly. So mixing is a very important unit operations involved in the manufacturing of monophasic liquid oral dosage forms. We have already discussed some theoretical part of mixing in micromeritics. The objective remains same, that if we have two components, the particles of both the components should be as close as possible in a system. So mixing is a process that results in randomization of dissimilar particles within a system. There are three mechanisms by which the liquid mixing occurs. One is bulk transport, second is turbulent mixing, and third is molecular diffusion. In case of bulk transport, which is similar to convective mixing of powders, there is a movement of large amount of material from one position to another. Now, the typical type of mixers which are used for liquid mixing has paddles or blades. So these paddles or blades, they carry liquid from one place to another, which leads to mixing process. So the time required would be less. Now, in case of turbulent mixing, which as the name suggests, turbulence is some movement, haphazard movement. So there is constant movement of the liquid, which causes mixing of the liquid. So this turbulence will cause constant change in the speed and the direction of the liquid, and which is the principle of mixing of liquids. Now, whenever the liquid is in turbulence, there are a small group of molecules which move together in a form of unit. So these units are referred as ADs. So these ADs, they tend to reduce in size and then break up. So this cycles continues, and this causes mixing process. In case of turbulent mixing, the mixing will occur only when there is turbulence. Now, there are some part of mixers wherein the flow of liquid is stable, or it is streamlined. So, in that case, the third mechanism of mixing comes in picture, that is called as molecular diffusion. Now, this diffusion will be same as what we have studied in FIFAM, that is the movement of the molecule from higher concentration to lower concentration till the concentration in both the level is constant. So in this case, the mixing will lead to a well mixed product, and the time required may be more. Now, in general, monophasic liquids are prepared by mixing soluble solids in the liquid, or mixing two miscible liquids, out of which always one liquid is water. So this leads to production of homogeneous mixture. So mixing occurs by diffusion. It does not require a high level of shear, that is a vigorous mixing process, and a simple shaking in the lab, or a use of a propeller mixer in large scale is preferred for the production of homogeneous liquids. Three types of flow pattern are observed in a mixer. So they are tangential, radial, and axial. This diagram is self-explanatory. This flow will always depend upon the type of the blade and the speed of the blade with which it is run. So in case of tangential movement, the water will be moving in the direction parallel to the blade. In case of radial, this has three blades, so there will be rotation or moving of the liquid in circular manner, and then there will be cutting of this liquid by the blade. So there will be input, that is the liquid will be moving towards the blade and away from the blade. So this causes a proper mixing process. Now, in case of axial, to explain this, imagine that the blade is somewhat angled or twisted. So there will be axial movement of the liquid on the in the mixer. So liquid is discharged downward to the bottom of the vessel because of the angled blade, and then it will come to the uh, upward side of the mixer. Next part is the equipment which are used for mixing. So in case of liquid mixing, there are two basic components. One is the tank and one is the blade. Now coming to the type of mixer, the first mixer is the propeller mixer. Commonly used propeller mixer will have three blades and it is used for mixing soluble substances. Now as the substances are soluble, so we need to put in less energy for the mixing of this type of substance. So these propeller mixers are used for low energy mixing, that is nothing but mixing of the soluble substance. Then they can have angle blade which causes the circulation of the fluid or the flow pattern in both the axial and the radial way. Then it is suitable for mixing low viscosity fluids, and we can run the mixers at a speed of 1750 to 2000 rpm. Now fluids who are viscous, having viscosity greater than 20 centipoise, can be mixed by using a smaller vessel, and we can run the propeller mixer at a speed of 400 to 500 rpm. Limitation of propeller mixer includes formation of vortex and air entrapment. Now, to understand what is vortex, we will take the example of a beaker wherein you are having a liquid in a beaker and you are stirring that liquid with the help of glass stirrer forcefully. So, with that force, you'll form a vortex. So, that vortex will not allow the proper mixing of the liquid, that is a whirlpool you can see. These two problems, formation of vortex and air entrapment, can be minimized by changing the position of the propeller in the vessel or by using baffles. What this baffle will do will, it will divert the flow of fluid into the center of the vessel where the vortex would have formed, so that will not cause any whirlpool pattern in the mixer. So this slide shows the propeller mixer which has a baffle. So vortex is what I was talking about, is the formation of conical shape of the liquid near the surface of the fluid. So this will not allow proper mixing of the liquids. Again, there will be air entrapment. So in case of baffled tanks, there on the circumference of the you can say mixer, there are blades which are kept. So this will cut the flow of fluid, and again there will be uniform flow of liquids in the mixer. This slide shows various types of propeller mixer. So the one in between is a angled blade, and most commonly used is a three blade propeller mixer. This slide shows different arrangement of propeller. So we can angle or change the position of the propeller to avoid vortex formation. The mixing can also be done in the vertical manner or a horizontal manner depending upon the type of mixing or the problems we come across. Then the last is about the baffled mixer. Next type of mixer is a turbine mixer. So these the turbine mixers are impellers with number of short blades which might be either straight, curved or pitched. Uh, Turbine mixers usually rotate at low speed of about 200 rpm, and they are more suitable for viscous liquids. This slide shows various blades and the type of flow pattern they give. So if we have a flat blade turbine mixer, so that will produce a radial flow, and due to resultant high shear, they will be more suitable for mixing of immiscible liquids like in case of emulsion. In case of slope back slope curved blades. They do not cause breaking of the liquid, so it is suitable for mixing of fibers or any crystalline substance. Uh, so this as it is without breaking, or it will not cause breaking of the crystals, so the original structure of the substance to be mixed is preserved. In case of forward tip blade, this provides a greater force for size reduction, but it requires more energy for it. In case of pitched blades, which are pitched at 45 degrees to the shaft, it produces axial flows and it requires less energy. Paddle mixer. So paddle are impellers with one or more horizontal blades that rotate at slow speed of about 50 to 100 rpm. They usually exhibit a radial or tangential flow. This is because of the slow movement of the blade. So the wall clearance is maintained to scrap the vessel surface that eliminates buildup of unmixed material on the walls. That is the distance between the lower surface of the vessel and the blade is kept minimum, so that there is no stagnancy of the liquid. Now these type of mixers are suitable for mixing of viscous and sticky fluids, and has an advantage that there will be no entrapment or no heat generation. Again, in case of paddle mixers, we have different dimensions or geometry of blades. This is a gate pattern. The first is a gate pattern. Uh, the third is a helix pattern and a leaf pattern. So if you see, the mixing pattern will be dependent upon the type of blade which is used. These are the YouTube links for the various types of mixers. Just watch it so that it will be easy for you to understand. Next unit operation is filtration and clarification. So filtration is defined as a process in which solids are separated from liquid by a means of porous medium. This porous medium, it retains the solids and allow only the liquids to pass through it. Clarification is a technique to separate the matter that interferes in the transparency of the liquid, and it is a technique to achieve clarity. Third definition is about straining. So straining is a type of filtration which removes large visible particles by using a coarse filtration medium like muslin cloth or cotton wool. Ultrafiltration, as the name suggests, it is a filtration of the particles which are below micron size, that is 1000 microns. So this diagram is self-explanatory. This is about the theory of filtration. What we have is a slurry which is to be filtered, a filter media which is porous in nature and which will retain the solid in the form of filter cake, and it will allow the liquid to pass in the conical flask. Filtrate, the liquid which is collected in the conical flask is called filtrate, and there are addition of filter aids which increases the porosity of the filter cake. Rate of filtration is directly proportional to the permeability constant of the filter medium and the filter cake. So more porous the filter medium or the filter cake, more will be the rate of filtration. The area of the filter bed and the pressure difference between the filter medium and the filter cake, and this is inversely proportional to the thickness of filter cake and the viscosity of fluid. So more is the thickness of the filter cake, less will be the rate of filtration. More viscous the fluid, less will be the rate of filtration. So this is given by Darcy's law, which is given by V is equal to Ka into delta P, that is the pressure difference, and divided by viscosity into uh, thickness of the filter cake. Next, we come to factors affecting filtration. So the first factor is the permeability constant. So if we keep in mind the process of filtration, what is responsible for filtration is the filter media. Uh, Next is the cake which gets deposited on the media. So the resistance will be offered by these two things, that is the filter media and the cake which is deposited on the filter media. So if uh, filter media, which is supposed to be porous, is clean and it has open pores, the filtration will be rapid. Second point is the resistance of the filtration will increase, that is the filtration will be slower down if there is plugging of the pores of the filter media and there is accumulation of the filter cake on the filter media. Thus, to attain a constant filtration rate, pressure should be increased. So even if there is accumulation or there is plugging, and if you apply pressure through this, then there might be slight increase in the filtration rate. So what can be done is, even if after the application of pressure the filtration rate is low, we can simply remove the accumulated cake, and then we can have a proper rate of filtration. Thus, K is a constant for a particular set of filtration. Set of filtration will include the parameters like the filter media and the thickness of the filter cake. So any attempt which is made to decrease the resistance, or whatever the factors which are decreasing the filtration, will increase the K. In turn, increases the rate of filtration. Next factor is the morphology of the filter cake. So whatever filter cake is formed, it should not be hard and it should not be non-porous. Uh, this compaction or whatever formation of cake occurs, that slow downs the rate of filtration. Now there are means by which we can increase the rate of filtration. One is addition of the filter aids. They are nothing but the substances which have irregular shape. So when they are added on the filter media, I'm using a particular term, say filter paper. So if you are using filter paper as a filter media, and if we are adding a filter aid, so what they will do is they will deposit on the filter paper such that they will form channels. So this channels will allow the filtration. So there will be no direct contact of the slurry with the filter medium. So it will only be the pores which are formed through the filter aids, which will allow the filtration. So the time period required for clogging of the filter media will be higher, or it will take time. Second is the area of the filter bed. So more the area, more efficient will be the filtration. We can also set small units of filtration for the same slurry, so that will reduce the time required and it will give efficient filtration. Next factor is the pressure difference. Now to explain this, I'll take the example of Bachner funnel, which we use in chemistry. Now that has a funnel over the conical flask, and which is connected to a suction pump. So what is done is we introduce the slurry in the funnel and we keep our hands over it, and then the suction is provided. So because of the pressure difference, the filtration rate is faster. So same funda can be used to increase the rate of filtration. So rate of filtration can be increased by applying positive pressure on the liquid which is being filtered, or by decreasing the pressure beneath the filter, that is where we collect the filtrate. Now there are various methods which are employed to do this. One is gravity, that is we maintain the head of the slurry above the filter medium, so there is constant flow of the fluid which is to be filtered. Then next is positive pressure. In this case, we are applying pressure to the surface of the slurry. Uh, Third is by use of vacuum. In this, we create the pressure difference across the filter by attaching a vacuum pump. However, the reduction in boiling of the solvent can occur if we do this, so that may lead to boiling of the solvent in the receiver. So we have to take care that whatever vacuum is applied should not hamper the boiling point of the solvent. Fourth is by use of centrifugal force. Here we subject the slurry first to centrifugation and then we filter it, so that becomes a easy process. Next factor is the thickness of the filter cake. Ideally, there should be no deposition of the filter cake, but if at all it is formed, it should be a thin deposit. As the filtration progresses, the thickness of the filter cake increases and thereby it reduces the filtration rate. So it is beneficial if we remove the filter cake continuously, so that will maintain the rate of filtration. Next point is the viscosity. Here we are talking about the viscosity of the vehicle. Vehicle is the fluid which is added to the slurry. So viscosity of the vehicle should be low, which will increase the rate of filtration. Now this can be achieved by increasing the temperature, but this is not applicable. That is increasing the temperature is not applicable when the slurry contains thermolabile drug or volatile substance. Alternatively, what we can do is we can dilute the slurry with suitable vehicle which will not hamper the property of the slurry. So this can be done, but the disadvantage is that it will take too long to filter the complete fluid. So this slide, it summarizes the methods to increase the rate of filtration, which we have already discussed in the factors affecting filtration. So the first method is by increasing the area which is available for filtration. Second is increase the pressure difference across the filter cake. Third, decrease the viscosity of the filtrate. Fourth, decrease the thickness of the filter cake. And finally, increase the permeability of the cake. Next part of the presentation is about the components of the filter. So the first component is the filter media. So ideally it is a porous material which will retain the solid in the process of filtration. It merely acts as a support for the filter cake to collect the solids in the from the slurry. So ideal properties of the filter media should be they should be mechanically strong enough to hold and collect the filter cake. It should be porous. It should not get blocked or plugged during the filtration process. It should be physiochemically unaffected by the slurry or the fluid which is filtered. It should not absorb or retain the soluble ingredients which is present in the slurry. Next is it should be easy to separate the filter cake, and it should be easy to wash, and it should not shed fibers in the filtrate. There are few factors which are to be taken into consideration before selecting the filter media which is to be used in the filtration process, like the solid content in the slurry. Next is the proportion of the fines and the coarse material which is there in the slurry, the viscosity of the fluid which is to be filtered, the quantity which is to be filtered, and the purpose of filtration. So based on that, we have to select one of the filter media. So the first filter media which we are going to discuss is the filter paper. This is the most frequently employed filter media. Other than the filter paper what we use in our lab, the high quality filter paper called as Wattmann's filter paper is available, which is available in different particle size, so that assures maximum filtering efficiency. So these are the particle size, pore size filter paper, and the corresponding pore size which is mentioned in the table. So the coarse Wattmann's filter paper will have a pore size of around 3.4 to 5 mm. The medium will have 2.1 to 2.8, and fine will have the pore size of 0.4 to 1.1. So depending upon the property or the particles which is present in the slurry, we can select either of them. Disadvantage of using filter paper is that it has some absorption capacity. Mechanically, it is weak and it may shade some fibers in the filtrate. Cotton wool can also be used as a filter media. So cotton wool is nothing but a wet cotton plug which is used to filter coarse particle, but the disadvantage is that it will shade fibers in the filtrate and it is not useful when we want to filter fine particles. Next example is the filter cloth. Only difference is it is woven. Like cotton wool is loose, so cloth will be a woven part. Advantage over, it will have some advantage over cotton wool. So it will have varied porosity depending upon the weaving style. The strength will be more and it will provide larger surface area. So depending upon the nature of the slurry to be nature of the slurry, we can use different type of filter cloths. Synthetic cloths have less absorbing property than the cotton cloths. Generally, the nylon cloths is a material of choice when when large scale manufacturing is required. Next example is fine muslin. Fine muslin is used for separation of coarse particle, but a pre-filtration process is required before subjecting the slurry to fine muslin. Next example is of glass wool, which consists of fine fibers of glass which are used for filtration of corrosive liquids, strong acids, and alkalis. Asbestos can also be used as filter media. The granular particles of asbestos, which is nothing but impure magnesium silicate, or Kieselguhr, this is a type of silica or sand. This layers can be built on a suitable supporting material, will produce a porosity which can be used for filtration of corrosive liquids. Uh, Membrane filters are the type of filters which are used to filter sterile preparations. So these are generally used for sterilization. The most common membranes of this type of filters are made up of polymers such as cellulose acetate, cellulose nitrate, and nylon. The pore size of this membrane is about 0.01 to 30 microns. Advantage of using this type of filter is they have high flow rate, they are mechanically strong, there will be no contamination of the filtrate, and the solution will not be retained on the filter media. Only disadvantage is that whatever is the polymer used in the preparation of this membrane, they may get dissolved in some organic solvent. Next example of filter media is a sintered glass filter. Before that, I'll just explain what is sintering or why it is called as sintered glass filter. So, sintering is a process of compacting and forming a solid mass of material by heat or pressure without melting it to the point of liquefaction. Now, in this case, a mixture of glass particles are used and they are fused together at high temperature. So this fusion creates a filter. So these filters vary in porosity depending upon what type of glass is fused in the filter. So they are very useful in filtration of solutions which are intended for parenteral use and is a good alternative to filter paper. If we attach a vacuum system, that will again enhance the rate of filtration. Next component of filtration is a filter aid. Now before explaining this, just go through the diagram which is, or a picture which is shown in this slide. The enlarged picture is there in the next slide. So in the first case, the big white spots which are shown is the filter media, and the black spots, they are nothing but the slurry which is to be filtered, the solids present in the slurry. In the second case, this the filter aids are added. Now here the same thing is there, that is the big white spots, they are the filter media, and the small white spots, they are the filter aids. Now this filter aids will form capillaries over the filter media. These capillaries will be an additional filtering system which will be present in the assembly. Uh, the third is a mixture of two filter rates that you can see in the next slide. So basically filter rates are rigid, porous, irregular shaped materials which are added to filter cake to increase the filtration rate. Now what they do is they act by forming open or porous filter cake of low resistance. So uh, these are also cakes which are formed, but they are very porous in nature. So the ideal properties of a filter aid is that they should form and maintain the porous structure. They should not form thick layer when used at a particular concentration. Uh, they should be effective in very low concentration, usually 5% of the filter cake. They should be light, insoluble. They should be free from impurities, and they should not shed fibers in the filtrate, and they should be physiochemically inert. So as discussed in the previous slide, this filter aids will form a layer or cake which will be porous over the filter media. The third diagram which is shown in this picture is a mixture of two filter aids. So we see that the uh, thickness of the cake which is formed by the filter aid will be more in this case, and it will be highly porous in nature. Next we come to the types of filter aid. The first filter aid is Kessel-Gur, that is effective in low concentration, even at 0.1%, and has an ability to increase the filtration rate by more than 5 times the original rate. Next example of filter aid is cellulose, which has high physiochemical inertness and purity, but it is expensive and they can form compressed mass during filtration. Asbestos is also used as a filter aid, which is a good filter aid, but it shed fibers and it is soluble in acids and alkalis. So if at all the solvent system which is used in the slurry is acid or alkalis, asbestos will not be useful. Next example is diatomaceous earth. Silica is available in various and size ranges, so thus can produce a cake of required porosity. It is also useful for fine filtration, though it is inert and insoluble. Again, it has some solubility issues with the when your slurry has acids or alkali. Perlite is one more example of filter aid, which is aluminium silicate. Again, it is available in various sizes. It produces a compressible cake and had some solubility in acid and alkalis. There are two ways in which the filter aids can be used. One is the pre-coat method, wherein the suspension of the filter aid is filtered before the filtration of the slurry, so that a thin layer of filter aid is formed over the filter media. Next method is dispersion method. In this, the filter aid is dispersed in the slurry and then it is filtered. Next we come to mechanism of filtration. So there are four mechanism of filtration. One is straining, that is use of sieves, in which the particles of larger size will not pass through the filter media of the given pore size. Second mechanism is in impingement, wherein the liquid flows to the streamline, flows in streamline, and when it comes in contact with the filter medium, if the size is less, then it will pass through the filter, and if it is more, it will be retained on the filter media. Next mechanism is entanglement, wherein we use fibers. So these fibers, they can entangle the solids when off bigger size, and the smaller size will be again passed over the next fiber. Then the fourth mechanism of filtration is attractive forces, which is the result of attractive forces between the particles and the filter medium. This is a case of electrostatic filtration. Now, this part of presentation is about the filtration equipments which are used. So the selection of the equipment will be based upon the nature of the material which is to be filtered and the volume to be filtered. Uh, Filtration equipments are classified as small scale filtration, large scale filtration, and sterile filtration equipments. We'll first start with the small scale filtration, that is the filtration equipments which we use in our lab. We use funnels. So funnels are made up of copper, aluminium, stainless steel. So if these are the materials which are used for filter funnels, then they are durable, they are costlier, and they are corrosive. Next method material for funnel is polyethylene, which is not for the corrosive material. And the last, which is most inert, is the glass which we use in our lab. Now the uh, funnel can be either plain or it can be ribbed. We can use the funnel filter paper as it is, that is we fold it and we keep it in the funnel, or we can pleat it and then in this manner that is shown in the third part of the uh, picture. So we can pleat it and then we can keep it in the funnel. So with this there is faster rate and it is effective as the surface area is increased. Porcelain funnels are also used in lab. Example of this is Bachner funnel, the one which we have discussed in pressure difference, that is the factors affecting filtration. Next is sintered glass filter. This also we have discussed in the filter media. Next we come to large scale filtration. We can classify filters into gravity filters. The example is candle filter. Vacuum filters. The example is rotating drum filter and membrane filter. Pressure filters, we have metafilters and plate and frame filter, and finally centrifugal filters. So this slide shows classification of filter equipments. This is based on application of external force. So filters are classified as pressure filters, vacuum filters, and centrifugal filters. Uh, Pressure filters we have plate and frame and metafilters. Vacuum filters we have filter leaf, and centrifugal filters we have centrifuges. Gravity filters. This concept is generally used for filtration of potable waters by municipalities. So what happens is whatever water we get from a source is first subjected to sand filters. Now these filters contains layers of rocks and gravels. So the water which comes out of this filter would be free from the insoluble solids, and then it is subjected to deionization or distillation. Now, this same concept is used in pharmaceutical industries wherein the gravity bag filters are prepared. Now, these bags they contain the same thing, that is the various sized uh, particles, so which can be simply kept in the formulation which is to be filtered, and then uh, it will be removed after the process. So the type example of formulation which is filtered by this method is milk of magnesia. Candle filters are also used for filtration. To explain this, I'll take the example of normal candle filters which were used earlier at home. So there were some porous material in the form of candle. We introduce water in the filter, and then water comes in contact with that filter. So whatever is the impurity, or we can say the solid material, gets absorbed on the filter, and then uh, what we get in the lower part of the filter is the filtered water. So same concept is used here. Here the filters are made up of sintered porcelain or Kieselguhr. Again, one end of the filter is closed. Now, if you are using a Kieselguhr filter, uh, the candle is very soft as compared to porcelain variety. Again, we can attach a vacuum pump which will reduce the pressure and will have an efficient or effective filtration process. The candles are available in different range depending upon the pore size, and these are generally designed by the number. The working of candle filter is the candles are placed in the solution to be filtered. Vacuum is applied, which will help in increasing the rate of filtration. So, with the help of vacuum, the liquid will pass through the thick wall of the candle and it will get collected inside the candle from where it is removed. The filter candle gets blocked due to continuous use, which can be cleaned by scratching the external surface with the help of nail brush or simply passing the water in the reverse direction. Uses: these candles are used for sterilization of solution, but they have a tendency to absorb the aqueous solution, so they are generally not used. Disadvantage is that they are less robust and they absorb solution and they are very difficult to clean. Next type of filter is a vacuum filter. The example under this is rotary vacuum filter. Just go through this link to understand it properly. Uh, Now this rotary vacuum filter, it is used for continuous operation and it has a system to remove the cake which is formed over the filter media. So this can be run for a longer period of time and it can be used for concentrated slurries. As far as the construction part is concerned, it has two concentric cylinders with a space in between them, which is divided into number of septa by radial portion. The outer cylinder is perforated and it is covered with filter cloth. What happens here is we have two concentric circles. The outer circle will be covered with the filter media, that is the material which is used for filtration. This comes in contact with the slurry. Now the blue portion which is shown below is the slurry which is to be filtered. As the drum rotates, so this filter medium, or you can say a cloth, will come in contact with the slurry. It will collect the solid which is present in the slurry and it will move up. So whatever liquid is present in the slurry will be filtered through this to the inner side of the circle or the inner circle. So this will be pumped through vacuum inside through this septa. So what remains when this drum moves up will be the cake or the solid which is present in the slurry. So there will be formation of cake on the left hand side of this uh, drum, and that is below the washing zone. Now here whatever cake is formed is again washed with the help of water. So if at all there is a remaining sol solution which is to be filtered, will be filtered here and the filtrate will go inside the septa and it will be pumped through the vacuum, and whatever solid is deposited over this drum will be scraped through the blade or the knife which is present at the last part of the drum. So how does it works? The cylinder, it rotates slowly in the slurry. The slurry is constantly agitated so that there is no settling of the solid, and the vacuum is applied to the segments which draws the filtrate into the septa, depositing the cake on the filter cloth. Now, when the deposited cake it leaves the slurry bath, the vacuum is maintained so that the liquid is removed constantly, which is passed through the septa into the inner side where it can be removed. Then this is followed by washing and then further drainage in the drying zone. The cake is removed by the scraper blade with the help of compressed air forced into the septa. It is a function of the rotary valve to direct these services into each septum when required. Rotary filters can be up to 2 meter in diameter and about 3.5 meter in length with a filtration area of about 20 meters square. The drum rotates slowly around 10 to 60 revolutions per minute. The cake compression rolls are often fitted to improve the efficiency of washing and draining. If the cake which is formed on the drum it cracks. So use of this rotary drum is for collection of calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate, starch, separation of mycelia from the fermentation liquor in the manufacturing of antibiotic. Now, if you see, we can handle more volume of liquid with this type of filter, and it is a continuous process. Coming to the advantages and disadvantages of rotary vacuum pump. The advantages are it is automatic and continuous in operation. We can handle large amount of slurry, so the capacity is more. With the variation with the by varying the speed of rotation, the thickness of the cake can be controlled. Ideally, the thickness should be less than 5 mm. If the solids present in the slurry is coarse, and so this coarse particle will not hamper the filtration efficiency. So in that case, uh, the thickness of the cake can be 100 mm or more. So next is about the disadvantage. Now this rotary vacuum pump has number of moving parts, so it is expensive. Again, ancillary or additional equipments are required, such as vacuum pumps, vacuum receivers, traps, slurry pumps, agitators. So the cake which is formed over the drum can crack when the vacuum is applied, so that washing and drying of the cake will not be as efficient as it describes. The pressure difference which can be applied with the help of vacuum is limited to 100 kilopascals. Now in this case, there may be boiling of some fluids which is present in the slurry because of reduction in pressure, which is not desirable. Again, this filter is used only for straightforward slurries. Next type of filter is leaf filter. This is the simplest form of filter wherein you have a frame enclosing a drainage screen. You can say a frame over which a filter cloth is kept, and the whole unit is kept in the liquid which is to be filtered. And in between the frame, you can use suction so that whatever liquid comes in contact with the assembly will enter through the filter cloth inside the frame, and then it will be removed through proper means. The filter leaf is available in various sizes as in circular, square, or rectangular. Uh, Now we come to working of filter leaf. So filter leaf is placed in a vessel containing the liquid which is to be filtered. Now when the vacuum is applied, the pressure inside the leaf is decreased. So due to this difference in pressure, the liquid moves inside the filter through the filter cloth. Now the filtrate is collected in the receiver, whereas the cake gets collected outside the cloth. So what you get is over the cloth the cake, the filter, the solid material which is filtered, it accumulates. The uses of filter leaf is, this method has an advantage that a liquid can be filtered from any vessel, and a cake can be simply washed by immersing the this leaf containing water. Then cake can be removed by flowing air in the reverse direction. Next we come to plate and frame filter, which is also called as filter press. Uh, Again, a very important equipment which is used as filtration in filtration. So you can go through the links which is given here, so that you will be able to understand it properly. So as the name suggests, it has plate and frame. I hope that you must have gone through the videos. So the videos are self-explanatory. So if you see, there is a long unit over which there is alternate arrangement of plate and frame. Now we'll discuss this the geometry of the plate and frame. The plate and frame are usually made up of stainless steel and aluminum alloy. The plate has grooved surface. Now this grooved surface will give a support to the filter cloth. So filter cloth will be uh, properly placed on the plate. It also has an outlet for the filtrate. The frame is open, it will not have any grooves, and it is used for inlet of the slurry to be filtered. Next is, the filter cloth is fitted on each side of the plate, that is both the side, and the plate and the frame are placed alternatively. So this complete unit is placed in a jacket, and each plate will, the whatever is the outlet from the plate will be connected through a common outlet. Before starting with the working, let us revise that the plate will be having the filter cloth. So there is alternate arrangement of plate and frame. So if in between two plates you'll be having one frame. So the slurry will be entering through the frame under pressure, and it will go to the plates on the either side. So then it passes through the filter cloth of the plate, and it leaves the solid which is filtered. The filtrate is collected in the plate, from where it is collected through a common outlet. Now this process continues until the frame is filled with filter cake. Again, the thickness of the filter cake will depend upon the solid content of the slurry, also the resistance of the filter cake. When the process is stopped, the frame is emptied, the filter, the whatever is the filter cake which is accumulated is removed, washed, and then if the chamber between the plates is almost packed with the cake, it is very difficult to wash unless the filter is deassembled. So if there is a lot of accumulation of the filter cake uh, in the on the plates, then that has to be disassembled. Otherwise a simple washing process is also useful. Then we come to advantages and disadvantages of the filter press. So advantages are, it is very simple in construction. If we increase the number of plates and frames, so the capacity is also increases. It provides large surface area for filtration. Cake washing, that is filter cake washing, is possible, and fitting and maintenance is also easy. Then disadvantage is that it is a batch process, that is we cannot have a continuous flow of liquid. Then it requires labor, so it is costly. Then again, it is used for filtration of slurries containing less than 5% of the solid. Washing may be difficult if the cake which is formed is not sufficient to fill the frame. Next we come to meta filters. Again, the link is provided, so just go through it before reading the construction part. So uh, construction, it includes grooved drainage rods on which are packed a number of metallic rings. These rings are usually of stainless steel and have a thickness of 0.8 mm, 15 mm inside diameter and 22 mm outside diameter. Uh, to explain this, I'll just give one easy example, that is, if we have a wire and if we roll it on our fingers number of times, so if you go on rolling the wire on your finger, so that will form a ring. So that ring will have, in between the two say rotation, there will be some space. So this concept is used in metafilters. So the height of projection and the shape of the section of the ring are such that the rings are packed together. So the whatever rings are formed, they are packed together. They are tightened on a drainage rod, and the channels are formed that taper from about 250 micrometers down to 25 micrometers. One or more of this pack is mounted in a vessel, and a filter is operated by pumping the slurry under the pressure. So whatever liquid is to be filtered is just passed through the cavity which is formed in the rings, and there will be a filtration. Coming to the working of metafilter, so the entire assembly is placed inside the pressure vessel containing the liquid which is to be filtered. Then the vacuum is applied. The liquid will flow from outside to inside. So in this form, a metafilter can only be used as a strainer for coarse particles. It cannot be used to filter the fine particles. If we need separation of finer particles, a bed of suitable material like is Kesselguhr is used. In this way, the pack of ring acts as a base on which a true filter medium is supported. We can just have a ring to separate the coarser particle. Again, if we have an additional filter aid or any filter media, that will separate the fine particles. This metafilters are generally used for clarification, that is just to improve the clarity of syrup or injection solutions or intermediates such as insulin. Coming to the advantages of metafilters, so it has considerable strength and it can withstand high pressure with no danger of bursting, like in case of filter cloth or paper. It is economical. Again, the material can be selected. The material for preparation of the rings can be selected based upon the uh, liquid which is to be filtered. As in, if the material is corrosive, we can use that type of metal. So it provides excellent resistance to corrosion, and it will also avoid contamination. uh, by selecting a suitable grade of material to form a filter bed, we can remove the fine particles. Next is the strength of the metafilters permit the use of high pressure, which is suitable for viscous material. Next is about the disadvantage. The surface area of the metafilters is very small, so we the amount of liquid which is to be filtered is restricted. Again, we cannot filter fine particles through it. So you can say that these metafilters are generally used for clarifying the liquids, and when the uh, amount of solids in the slurry is low. Coming to membrane filters, if you go through this link, you'll see how the membrane filters are used in the industry. So, membrane filters are made up of thin and flat membranes of cellulose derivatives. They are cellulose acetate and cellulose nitrate. Now, they are brittle when they are in dry condition, that is, they are not used. So, that can be stored for an indefinite period of time. The filters are about 50 to 150 micron in thickness, and they are available up to the size of 60 centimeters square. So, membrane filter has about 400 to 500 millions of pores per square centimeter. So, in a square centimeter, there will be 400 to 500 million pores. So, imagine the fineness of the membrane. The pores are absolutely uniform in size, and occupy about 80% of the filter volume. Now, to avoid clogging of the membrane, pre-filtration can be required. The selection of the membrane filter for a particular application depends upon the type of the particle to be removed. Use is they are used for sterilization of both aqueous and oily liquid. The filters cannot be used for organic solvents like alcohol, ketones, ester, and chloroform. Next filter is a cartridge filter. Before that, you just go through this link, so it will be easy for you to understand. So basically, cartridge filter is nothing but a case uh, which has number of cartridge. So cartridge is nothing but the filtering matter. And what happens is on the lower side of this filter you have the collector in which the filtrate is collected. Now when you introduce the slurry which is to be filtered on the topmost layer where the cartridge and the filters are present, and you apply pressure, this fluid, it flows inside the cartridge, so there is filtration through the cartridge, and the space in between the cartridge is hollow, so whatever solids are there will be accumulated uh, outside the cartridge, that is just on the linings of the cartridge, and the liquid or the filtrate will go through the hollow space into the filtrate collector. So these are the most commonly used filters in the for the pharmaceutical products. They have very large surface area, so you can have number of cartridge in a single unit. So it is easy to operate and it is relatively cheap. Again, if I come to the material for preparation of cartridge, they are made up of polytetrafluoroethylene or string wound material. This is similar to yarn. It is also called as a wound-like ball of string. Then this cartridge are fitted on a metal supporting cylinder, and the liquid is pumped and the pressure is applied. The filtrate is forced through the filter cartridge from the periphery to the inner hollow core, from where it exits through the other end of the support cylinder, that is the filtrate collector. These are often the filter cartridge are disposable, and therefore they are good for use, and the application is only limited to the slurries which have lower solid content. Next we come to cross flow microfiltration. Now there is you can prepare a membrane filter by using hollow fibers. So this membrane, it consists of polysulfone, acrylonitrile or polyamide, which is laid down within a fiber which forms a rigid porous outer support. So you have this fiber and the membrane of the or the porous backing. So with this in this lumen, there will be flow of fluid and filtration which occurs in the through this membrane. The lumen of each fiber is very small, that is 1 to 2 micrometers, and a large number of fibers can be contained in the surrounding shell to form a cartridge, so which may have effective filtration area of about 2 meter square. The liquid to be treated is pumped through the cartridge into the circulatory system so that it passes through the lumen number of times. The filtrate, which is in technique often called as permeate, will follow radially through the membrane and the porous support. Now, advantage is that uh, the high fluid velocity and turbulences minimizes the blocking of the membrane. So, fresh liquid enters the system as a reservoir from the reservoir, and the filtration it proceeds. Now, because the fluid flow across the surface uh, rather than right angle, this is a cross flow. So, it is called as cross flow microfiltration. This is generally used for fractionation of biological products, blood plasma, and for a recovery of antibiotics from the fermentation media. Next topic is filling of liquids. So once the formulation is done, we have to fill the liquids in the bottle. So there are three techniques. One is gravimetric method, volumetric method, and constant volume filling. So you can go through this link to understand what are the techniques used in the industry. The first technique is gravimetric technique. So this works on the principle of gravitational force. So there is a container which is placed at a height, and then the filling occurs. So filling containers is according to the weight. So limited to large containers or the products which are having high viscosity. The process is very slow and it is difficult to automate it. So it is generally used in for filling the syrups. These type of filling methods are not used nowadays. Next filling method is volumetric filling. Now, as the name suggests, it is filled according to the volume, not by the weight. So this is accomplished. This is highly automatic method, and it is accomplished by positive displacement piston action. That means there is one piston which will, because of the pressure, it will take the liquid, the required amount of liquid, and it will discharge that liquid in the container. So the fill station is equipped with the measuring piston and the cylinder. So the fill amount is measured by stroke of piston. So if you want to change, if you want to have a minor change in the volume, then it can be done by adjusting the stroke of the piston. But if the volume changes, then you have to change the complete assembly of piston and the cylinder. Now, highly viscous preparation can cause the piston to seize or to stop, and there may be loss of fill, or the process can stop or it can break. The liquid which can cause uncontrollable dripping in this case, and this will lead to filling inaccuracy. So one bottle will be say overfilled and one will be underfilled. Next method is constant volume filling method, which uses container for controlling the fill. Uh, you can relate it with your lab, wherein you tear the container and you make up the volume, or you fill the liquid till that point. So in this case, the dimension of the bottle will be considered as a level to be filled. So the fill amount is verified by adjusting the height to which the container has to be filled. Now in the filling line, or where there is the equipment which fills the liquid in the bottle, the height of the bottle is to be adjusted so that the required amount of liquid will be filled inside the bottle. So variation in the container dimension, a small variation in the container dimension can lead to variation in the net fill amount in the liquid of the liquid. So the oldest form of this uses siphon. That is, the equipment was a simple, you can say, pipe-like structure, which was carrying the liquid from height, and it was filling in the bottle. So this basic principle, which is now modified with the, you can say, new technology, and high speed automatic filling machines are based on this principle. So one more addition is that there is induction of uh, pressure difference, which makes the process more efficient. So we can classify the techniques of filling as vacuum filling, gravity vacuum filling, or pressure vacuum filling. So vacuum filling is the one in which the vacuum is developed within the container, which causes the liquid to flow from tank to the container. Next is gravity vacuum filling, wherein the bulk liquid tank is placed above the filling system so that the liquid flows to the container due to force of gravity. And third is a pressure vacuum filling, where the pressure is applied to the bulk liquid tank and a vacuum is developed in the container which results in pressure difference so that the liquid flows to the container.